Good morning, students. In the last class we studied about pollination, types of pollination and agents in pollination. Today, continuation. Outbreeding devices. Outbreeding refers to nothing but cross pollination. Outbreeding devices. Most of the angiosperms produce bisexual flowers. In most of the angiosperms, flowers are bisexual. In most of the angiosperms, flowers are bisexual. So when the flowers are bisexual, the possible pollination is self. Possible pollination is self. So think of continuous self-pollination. Continuous self-pollination leads to inbreeding depression. Leads to inbreeding depression. So in most of the angiosperms, flowers are bisexual, or most of the angiosperms produce bisexual flowers. When the flowers are bisexual, the possible pollination is self. Continuous self-pollination leads to inbreeding depression. So what is inbreeding depression? Nothing but reduced biological fitness. So biological fitness in the offsprings is reduced. Biological fitness is reduced. To minimize this or to overcome this, plants show some outbreeding devices within them. Outbreeding devices which are nothing but adaptations, to cross pollination. Adaptations to cross pollination, which are called contrivances to cross pollination, or which are also called outbreeding devices. So why outbreeding devices? To minimize, to overcome self pollination and to enhance cross pollination, to overcome self and to promote cross. There are mainly 4 types. First one no synchronization in pollen release and stigma receptivity. Think of a bisexual flower. Even if it is bisexual, if there is no synchronization in the pollen release and stigma receptivity, no synchronization means pollen release and stigma receptivity won't occur simultaneously. Think of when the pollen releases, stigmas are immature, or when the stigma matures, pollens are not released, like that. No synchronization in the pollen release and stigma receptivity. Pollen released at a time when the stigma is immature, or stigma is mature when the pollens are not released. No synchronization. Synchrony refers to simultaneous. They never mature simultaneously. No synchronization in pollen release and stigma receptivity. Second case, the position of the anthers and stigma are in different places. Different positions of anther and stigma. And even if they are bisexual, since the positions are different, the different positions of male and female parts prevents self-pollination, and promotes cross-pollination. Different positions of the male and female parts, anther and stigma. So in both cases, autogamy is prevented. Both prevents autogamy. So what is autogamy? Autogamy is self. When self-pollination is prevented, the possible pollination is cross. One more concept is self-incompatibility. So what is incompatibility? Incompatibility refers to not matching. Before that, think of a bisexual flower. Think of a bisexual flower. Pollen produced by the flower cannot match to the stigma of the same flower. Pollen produced by the flower won't match, is not compatible. The pollen produced by the flower is the wrong type of pollen for the stigma of the same flower, is called self-incompatible. The pollen produced is incompatible, does not match to the stigma of the same flower, is a genetic mechanism which prevents the pollen of the flower to fertilize the stigma of the same flower. Failed to fertilize the stigma of the same flower. Pollen produced by the flower failed to fertilize the stigma of the same flower, is a genetic mechanism, is called self-incompatibility. So when it is self-incompatible, it prevents autogamy and it also prevents autogamy but not geitonogamy. Prevents autogamy but not geitonogamy. Unisexual flowers. Plants produce unisexual flowers. When the flowers are unisexual, self-pollination is not possible. Self-pollination is not possible. So unisexual flowers. A plant produces either male flower or female flower. Concentrate on these two different plants. One example is maize. Maize is monoecious. A single plant produces unisexual flowers, male and female. Both male and female flowers are produced in the same plant. Both are produced in the same plant. As a result, since the flowers are unisexual, self is not possible. Self is not possible. So prevents autogamy. We'll see one more. Papaya. Papaya is dioecious. We see in nature male papaya plant, female papaya plant. Means flowers are unisexual again. So in this, even geitonogamy is not possible. So prevents autogamy, prevents geitonogamy. The possible one is xenogamy. Possible one is xenogamy. So prevents autogamy, again prevents self-pollination. So these are few. This is also called dicliny, dioicy. These are the different names. So that is a note on outbreeding devices. So outbreeding is nothing but cross-pollination. Most of the plants show an adaptation to prevent self and to promote cross. Why? In most of the angiosperms, flowers are bisexual. When flowers are bisexual, when both the male and female parts mature at the same time, possible pollination is self. Continuous self-pollination leads to inbreeding depression, which is nothing but reduced biological fitness. To overcome this, plants show some adaptations. Few are no synchronization in the pollen release and stigma receptivity. The position of the anther and stigma are in different positions within the plant, so that self-pollination is not possible. Self-incompatibility, a genetic mechanism in which pollen produced by a flower cannot fertilize the stigma of the same flower. Production of unisexual flower. Plants produce unisexual flowers, so that self-pollination is not possible. Continuation, pollen pistil interaction. Now what is pollination? Transfer of pollen to the stigma of a flower is pollination. Pollination occurs by different agents. Okay. So when a particular pollen sits on the stigma, what are the reactions which occur? Comes under pollen pistil interaction. The process of pollination does not guarantee that it will bring right type of pollen to the surface of the stigma. Pollination process does not guarantee that it will bring right type of pollen to the stigma. Think like this, this is the stigma, this is a pollen. So pollination process does not guarantee that it will bring right type of pollen to the stigma. Right type means what? Belonging to the same species, compatible. Okay, pollens are of two types, right type, correct one, matching one, which we can say compatible one. So right type are compatible, matching. Right type are compatible and matching. Pollination may also bring even wrong type also, which won't match for the stigma. So wrong type are incompatible or incompatible, we can say incompatible, or the one which does not match, like that. So the process of pollination may bring either right type or wrong type. What happens when a wrong type comes and sits? Imagine this is a wrong type. What happens when wrong type comes and sits on the stigma? Stigma have the capacity to reject them. So when wrong type comes and sits, it rejects. Stigma rejects them. What happens when right type comes and sits? Stigma have the capacity to identify the right type. So when right type sits, it results in post-pollination events. So the process of pollination does not guarantee that it will bring right type pollen. It may bring wrong type also. But stigma have the capacity to identify right type and wrong type. Wrong type, after identifying them as wrong type, stigma rejects them. Right type, after identifying them as right type, those pollen grains starts to germinate on the stigma. Those pollen grains starts to germinate on the stigma, thus resulting in post-pollination events. Now think of when a right type of pollen sits on the stigma, right type. So what is right type? Matching one is a compatible one. Right type is matching one and it is compatible one. So imagine this is the stigma, this is style, and here we see the ovule. Like this. Now this is a right type of pollen. So what is right type? Right type is compatible. Imagine this is a right type of pollen. Pollen is with wall, exine and intine. Exine with germ, pore. So when a right type, what is right type? Right type is compatible. Right type is compatible. Compatible pollen sits on the stigma. It starts to germinate. Pollen grain produces a pollen tube. Pollen grain produces a pollen tube. The tube emerges out from the germ pore, a opening, aperture which is present on the exine. Now imagine this is the pollen grain, this starts to germinate like this. This starts to germinate. The pollen tube grows on the stigma tissue and pierces the stigma, moves through the style. The tube moves through the style, comes like this, and then finally enters into the ovule. Now the pollen tube passes through the style and finally reaches the ovule up to the embryo sac. Like this. It passes and reaches up to the embryo sac. Like this, up to the embryo sac. This is nothing but post-pollination events. So, pollen-pistil interaction. Pollen-pistil interaction. What makes the right type of pollen to germinate on the stigma? Nothing but the chemical composition of the pollen grain and the stigma makes the pollen grain to germinate on the stigma. So, process of pollination does not guarantee it will bring the right type of pollen to the surface of the stigma. Wrong type of pollen may also sit on the stigma, but the stigma is having the capacity to identify right type and to reject wrong type. On rejection of wrong type, right type are accepted, they starts to germinate on the surface of the stigma. Chemical composition of the stigma and pollen makes the right type of pollen to germinate on the surface of the stigma. So, pollen grain produces a pollen tube. Pollen tube comes out through the germ pore. Entire content moves into the tube. Now, this tube is with three nuclei. Tube is with the three nuclei. What are those? Those two are the male gametes and one more is the tube nucleus. These two are the male gametes. These two are male gametes and this is the tube nucleus. This is the tube nucleus. Such a pollen tube passes into the ovule, crosses the micropyle wall, nucellus and finally reaches the embryo sac. Now recall, what is embryo sac? Embryo sac, the sac which later holds the embryo. What is embryo sac? Embryo sac is the female gametophyte. Embryo sac is the female gametophyte. Embryo sac is the female gametophyte. Recall embryo sac in short. A embryo sac is somewhat like this. This is embryo sac. Imagine like this. Embryo sac. It is having egg apparatus. Egg apparatus like this. This is the egg apparatus. Egg apparatus is with two synergids and central egg cells, and here there are three antipodal cells and a central big cell. This is the embryo sac. Now this pollen tube enters into the embryo sac. Imagine like this, pollen tube enters into the embryo sac. This is the pollen tube. Now the pollen tube reached here. The pollen tube is with the two male gametes and one more tube nucleus. One more tube nucleus. Okay, like this. Now only this portion. Imagine only this portion. That is what? Egg apparatus. I will draw egg apparatus in detail. Okay, this portion, now this one enlarged is this, now this portion is enlarged again. Imagine this is one of the cell, synergid. This is this cell, egg cell. One more, this is back side. Now imagine like this, egg cell, synergid, one more synergid is back side. This view, only this much, like that. Or like this much, okay, this much, egg cell and synergid, egg cell and synergid. So what is this? Now this is the big cell, what we call the central cell. Yes, this is the central cell, central cell. Then what these two are? These two are polar nuclei. These two are polar nuclei. Now plasma membrane of the central cell. This is the plasma membrane of the synergid. Whereas this is the plasma membrane of the egg cell. Egg cell with its nucleus, synergid with its nucleus. And the synergid cell is with a cellular thickening a cellular thickening which we can see, which is called a filiform apparatus. This is the filiform apparatus which helps in the guiding of the pollen tube into the egg apparatus. Guiding of the pollen tube into the egg apparatus. So this portion enlarged. Egg cell synergid. Central cell polar nuclei, and this is the plasma membrane, this is egg cell, and this is one of the synergid. And what are these? These are filiform apparatus. Now imagine same thing, this polar nuclei comes here. No, not pollen tube, sorry. Pollen tube comes here. This is the pollen tube. So pollen tube enters through one of the synergid. Pollen tube enters through one of the synergids. Then usually two pores appear at the tip, pores, openings appear at the tip, and the male gametes are discharged into the synergid. These cellular thickenings, the filiform apparatus, helps in the movement of the pollen tube, guides the movement of the pollen tube. Now imagine the pollen tube entered inside. This helps the movement, helps in guiding of the pollen tube. Finally, these two male gametes are discharged into the synergid. See here, this is one male gamete. This is a male gamete. Now this is a male gamete. Another male gamete is somewhere here. Another male gamete. So two male gametes. Which two? These two. The two male gametes are discharged into the synergid. One moves close to the nucleus of the egg cell, another is in the central cell. Here above here is central cell. In the central cell there are two polar nuclei like this. Now here there is no filiform apparatus. Means what? Filiform apparatus is used up. It guided the movement of the pollen tube. Okay, that is pollen pistil interaction. When a right type of pollen sits on the stigma, it germinates. How? Pollen tube produces a pollen grain produces a pollen tube. Pollen tube comes out through the germ pore. Pollen tube comes out through the germ pore. Entire content of the pollen tube moves into pollen grain moves into the pollen tube. The pollen tube passes through the style. Pollen tube passes through the style, finally enters into the ovule, reaches the embryo sac, enters into the embryo sac through the synergids. Filiform apparatus of the synergids helps the movement of the pollen tube. It finally discharges the two male gametes into the synergid. One remains closer to the egg cell, another remains closer to the polar nuclei or in the central cell. That is called post-pollination events. Post-pollination events. Yes, post-pollination events are all these. Even we can study this pollen germination in lab. Even we can study this pollen germination in lab. We have to take the pollen grains of commonly available flowers like Crotalaria, Vinca, and we have to dust them in a drop of 10% sucrose solution. We have to drop in 10% sucrose solution, keep for 10 to 15 minutes. Keep for 10 to 15 minutes. Then we have to observe under low power magnification of microscope. We can see germination of pollen grains. So even in lab we can see pollen germination by commonly available flowers. Usually Crotalaria, Vinca we use for pollen germination. And pollen grains from the dehisced anther are dusted over a clean slide by taking a drop of 10% sucrose solution, and the pollen grains are kept in the same solution for 10 to 15 minutes, and observed under low power magnification we can see germination of pollen grains. Knowing pollen pistil interaction, plant breeders, scientists who produce hybrids are known as plant breeders. The knowledge of pollen pistil interaction helped the plant breeders, and they tried to manipulate those pollen pistil interaction. The knowledge of pollen pistil interaction helped the plant breeders to manipulate pollen pistil interaction and to produce a offspring, young one, which is called hybrid with the desired character. What characters they want to see in the next progeny, such one they are able to produce. Yes, the knowledge of pollen pistil interaction helped the plant breeders to manipulate this pollen pistil interaction and to produce a hybrid with the desired characters. Plant breeders started to cross between different species. At the same time they started to cross between different genera also, so as to produce a hybrid which is commercially a superior variety. Yes, the knowledge of pollen pistil interaction made the scientists, plant breeders, to manipulate pollen pistil interaction depending upon what plant they want to see in the next progeny. That is, they try to produce a hybrid with the desired character. They try to cross between two different species, between two different genera also, so as to produce a hybrid. That hybrid is having commercially superior value. For that they did a technique. The technique is named as artificial hybridization. The technique is known as artificial hybridization. Yes, after knowing the pollen pistil interaction, scientists or plant breeders try to manipulate the pollen pistil interaction. They produce commercially superior varieties because of some technique. One among them is artificial hybridization. So production of hybridization artificially by controlling is artificial hybridization. In this experiment they took desired pollen with desired character, and they dusted it over a stigma which is already covered which is already, imagine a stigma which is already covered using butter paper, which is already covered. Desired pollen with desired character they took and they dusted it over a stigma which is already covered with butter paper so as to prevent unwanted pollen to get stick to the surface of the stigma or leads to further process. So that is what they did. In the experiment they took desired pollen and the stigma they covered with a butter paper. Okay. After all this, the artificial hybridization can be explained under two headings. One is emasculation. Another one is bagging. Emasculation and bagging. So what is emasculation? Now think of a female parent. In this case, this is female, this is male. Female parent. Think of a female parent. One of the plant is taken by the breeder as female parent and the female parent is now bisexual. Imagine like that. The plant which he takes as female parent is bisexual. And in this case, he does not want to take the pollen from this. He wants to take pollen which is with the desired character. That's why just before the anther dehisces, when the anthers are immature, that is when the anthers are immature, when flower is in bud condition. So imagine this flower in bud condition. In bud condition, these anthers are removed. That is, filaments of the anthers are cut. How? The flower bud is opened slowly. With the help of a forceps, the filaments of the anthers are cut. That process is called emasculation. So what is emasculation? It's nothing but cutting off the stamens. When the flower is in bud condition, that is when the anther lobes are immature. Think of female parent. When the female parent is bisexual and breeder does not want to take these pollen, he wants to take this as female parent. So he wants only this part. He wants to cut the anthers. So these are cut when the flower is in bud condition before the anthers dehisce. So cutting is called emasculation. Such flower which is called now emasculated flower. Imagine this is now the emasculated flower. This emasculated flower is covered using a bag. Imagine this is the bag. It is covered using a bag made up of butter paper so as to minimize or so as to prevent contamination from unwanted pollen to sit on the stigma. Now, so what is bagging? Bagging is nothing but the emasculated flower is covered by a bag, that is called bagging. Now this is bagged flower. What is bagged flower now? The female flower, this one stigma, that is carpel. The flower with the ovary, style and stigma, it is bagged. Now in this bagged flower, when its stigma reaches receptivity, when the stigma matures, when the stigma reaches its receptivity, desired pollen from another plants are brought closer to it, the bag is slowly removed and the desired pollen is dusted on the stigma and again it is rebagged. Is called this process artificial hybridization. So artificial hybridization includes mainly two steps: emasculation followed by bagging. Emasculation in a plant which the breeder wants to take as female parent, when it is bisexual, removal of anthers is emasculation. After the anthers are removed, that is stamens are removed, it is covered by a butter paper bag, it is called bagging. When the emasculated bagged flower reaches the stigma, when its stigma reaches receptivity, bag is slowly removed and the desired pollen are brought closer to it and dusted over the stigma and the fruit is allowed to grow inside the bag. The technique is called artificial hybridization. Yes, plant breeders, after the knowledge of pollen pistil interaction, try to manipulate pollen pistil interaction so as to produce a hybrid with the desired characters. One such technique they did is artificial hybridization, in which they took desired pollen to dust over a stigma, so as to produce a hybrid with the desired characters, with the commercially superior characters, commercially superior variety. So that is pre-fertilization. We studied in sexual reproduction, totally there are 3 steps: pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization. So we finish pre-fertilization. So today we studied what and all? First, outbreeding devices, pollen pistil interaction followed by artificial hybridization. Outbreeding devices what? To minimize, to prevent self and to promote cross, so as to produce a young one with superior quality. Plants among them itself have some outbreeding devices. Adaptations contributions to cross pollination. Pollen pistil interaction. Compatible pollen are matching right type, incompatible are wrong type. Stigma have the capacity to identify right type, that is compatible one, and to reject wrong type, that is incompatible one. When a compatible pollen sits on the stigma, it germinates. Pollen tube passes through the style and finally reaches the embryo sac. In the embryo sac, the filiform apparatus of the synergids guides the movement of the pollen tube. Finally, the 2 male gametes which are present in the pollen tube are discharged into the synergids. One remains closer to the egg cell, another near to the central cell. The knowledge of pollen pistil interaction helped the plant breeders to produce hybrids. One technique is artificial hybridization, includes 2 steps: emasculation and bagging. Next continuation is fertilization. Okay. Now the 2 male gametes are discharged into the egg apparatus. One remains closer to the egg cell, one more is near the central cell. Well, how is fertilization? So what is fertilization? Fertilization is nothing but union of gametes. First chapter we studied syngamy. Union of gametes is fertilization. So how is the fertilization? Imagine now one male gamete is here, one more male gamete is here. This male gamete, what is this? Female gamete. egg cell, nucleus of the egg cell, nucleus of the egg cell. This fuses with this, that is this. Now the egg cell after the fusion, the egg cell after the fusion has now changed into zygote. After the fusion has now changed into zygote. Egg cell now changed into zygote. The synergids, two synergids starts to degenerate. Now this is what? This is zygote. What is that? Fusion of male and female gametes is zygote, formation of zygote, which is called syngamy. Which is called syngamy. So syngamy occurs. One of the male gamete fuses with the female gamete, resulting in the formation of zygote. Now another male gamete. This fuses with this. What is this? These are called polar nuclei. These are called polar nuclei. Imagine these two are the polar nuclei. One more male gamete, this one fuses with this. That is, this is the male gamete. Two polar nuclei fuses with the male gamete. Now how many nuclei are there? 3. All are haploid. So haploid, N plus N plus N. All are haploid. So 3 fuse is called triple fusion. Is called triple fusion. Triple fusion. Now triple fusion, one fusion. This fusion. Triple fusion is one fusion. One more fusion is syngamy. What is that? Union of male and female gametes. So how many fusions occur? 2. Entire triple fusion is one fusion. Syngamy is another fusion. So how many fusions totally? 2. That's why fertilization in angiosperms is called double fertilization. Double fertilization. Now one of the male gamete fuses with the female gamete results in the formation of zygote, syngamy. Another male gamete fuses with the polar nuclei, haploid, haploid, one more haploid. 3 haploid together fuses, which is called triple fusion. So this is one fusion and this is another fusion which results in double fertilization, which is called double fertilization. At the same time, the antipodal cells degenerate. Antipodal cells degenerate. Now, what are the changes after fertilization? What are the changes after fertilization? The changes which occur after fertilization are, observe, these 3 nuclei fuse, resulting in the formation of a 3N nucleus, which is called primary endosperm nucleus, which is called primary endosperm nucleus. The primary endosperm nucleus holding cell is called primary endosperm cell. So primary endosperm cell. This is primary endosperm cell. This is called primary endosperm nucleus. Primary endosperm nucleus. So what are the changes which occur after fertilization? The changes which occur after fertilization are egg changes into zygote. Egg changes into zygote. The polar nuclei changes into primary endosperm nucleus. The central cell changes into primary endosperm cell, during which ovule, where is this? This is embryo sac. This is present inside the ovule. That ovule changes into seed. Where is ovule? Ovule is inside the ovary, and that ovary changes into fruit. That ovary changes into fruit. That is fertilization. So what is fertilization? In angiosperms, fertilization is double. When the 2 male gametes by the pollen tube are discharged into the synergid, one fuses with the egg cell and changes it into zygote. Another fuses with the polar nuclei, thus leading to double fertilization. At the end of double fertilization, egg changes into zygote. Entire central cell, this one, the central cell of the embryo sac, changes into primary endosperm cell. Primary endosperm cell. This nucleus, the one which is produced as a result of triple fusion, NNN changes into primary endosperm nucleus. Ovule changes into seed. Ovary changes into fruit, or post-fertilization events. So what happens after post-fertilization? In detail about endosperm, zygote, fruit and seed. Zygote, fruit and seed. So next is a continuation is post-fertilization structures and events. Thank you.